we're going to be watching every vault in the Fallout series. Now, I know nothing about Fallout. I have never played Fallout in my life, so I don't know what to expect. I'm just going in here completely blind, but I think it'd be fun.
By the year 2054, the United States government was faced with the reality that atomic warfare was inevitable. Oil was becoming increasingly rare.
Okay, wait, let me just pause real fast. Let me just pause. All right, I know it just started, but the only thing that I know about Fallout is that there's a bunch of shelters, and they hide in the shelters because of some crazy stuff happening in the real world, right?
Nations had collapsed 2 years prior, and a nuclear exchange had recently erupted in the Middle East, making it the first time atomic weapons were used on a civilian population in over a century. This would lead to a secretive group comprised of high-ranking government officials known as the Enclave to devise a plan to preserve themselves. And thus, Project Safehouse was born. Billions of dollars would be commissioned to a company known as Vault-Tec to construct 122 underground nuclear shelters known as vaults in order to supposedly shelter the United States population from impending doom.
Wait, is it for all populations? So all of the human population went into the vaults? Or is it only made for billionaires? You know what I mean? Like, is it just rich people who are like, yes, let's create a nice little vault for ourselves so we can continue on and preserve humanity? Not even close? You're gonna learn? Okay. Let me just guess. Let me just throw a shot in the dark here, okay? I think it's probably billionaires who created vaults for themselves to get rid of the other humanity, and they're probably also the ones who created the nuclear weapons to get rid of the other population. So basically, they are culling non-billionaires, I would guess. I don't know, but that's my guess. Just off this premise. Just because that's something billionaires would do, man. That is something billionaires would do. They have so much money, and then they get pissed off, and they're like, what do we do with it, man? What do we do with it? Because that's what they're doing now in the real world, basically, man.
However, its true purpose was to conduct a series of inhumane experiments on the population of each vault in order to gather enough data for the Enclave to colonize another planet. When the bombs dropped on October...
Wait, what? What do you mean another planet? What do you mean another planet? What are we doing with another planet?
October 23rd, 2077, in what is known as the Great War, the vaults were sealed, thus beginning 122 stories which the Fallout series has been uncovering since its inception. While not every vault has been explored over the course of this franchise, there are still quite a few that have been given rich and interesting stories for us to discover.
Wait, that's why it's like Fallout 76, right? Oh my god, it's just all the other vaults, and each vault has its own story? Oh. And is that why they take place in all of these other areas? Because the vaults are located everywhere around the world? Do they also come out at different times? And how do they know when to come out of the vaults? Oh man, so many questions. Wait, this is interesting.
Our journeys throughout the wasteland.
That's cool. So they can have so many different stories.
Here is every vault in the Fallout canon. Before this video starts, here are some terms you may need to know to better understand the lore behind these vaults.
Chems.
If you already know these terms, then skip ahead to this timestamp.
Oh,
FEV,
I don't know.
or the forced evolutionary
I don't know any of
virus,
these.
was an experiment engineered.
Wait, maybe we go 1.25? I'm sorry.
Before the Great War by the US government. It was designed to accelerate evolution in human subjects in order to make them more effective soldiers, but
that feels better.
It caused devastating mutations to those exposed to it, giving rise to creatures like super mutants and other mutated horrors like centaurs or nightkin. In the Fallout universe, chems refer to drugs. They're everywhere in the post-war world, ranging from old medical pills to homemade substances that often lead to addiction. Chems such as Mentats, Buffout, Med-X, and Jed are just some of the substances found throughout the wasteland. Since, short for synthetic...
Okay, so is this... Okay, I have so many questions, man. So I'm confused. The people outside of the vault, are there still people outside of the vault? Are they still alive? And are these chems referring to the stuff that's outside of the vaults? I don't know.
Humanoids is a common term used to refer to the robotic beings created by the mysterious faction known as the Institute. While Generations 1 and 2 synths are entirely mechanical by design, utilizing simplistic artificial intelligence, Generation 3 synths are nearly indistinguishable from humans, right down to their DNA. Generation 3 synths...
What? So we've created AI humans that blend in with regular humans? That's crazy.
In particular, are frequently sent to abduct and replace residents of the Commonwealth in order for the Institute to spy on the residents of the Wasteland. The GECK, or Garden of Eden Creation, is a device designed to restore a selected area destroyed by nuclear fallout into a habitable environment capable of growing food and purifying water. Each vault was issued 2 GECKs, so that when the population left the vaults, they could use it to create a sustainable society in the wasteland. Ghouls, radroaches, mirelurks, radscorpions, glowing ones, deathclaws, and the Scorched are some of the creatures I'll be mentioning in this video, all of whom have been transformed and mutated by radiation into their current form. the Brotherhood of...
What? Okay, are you telling me like crabs were mutated in? Okay, so what with all these like nuclear stuff, they basically Hulkified some random insects and stuff. Is that correct? I don't know, man. I don't know. Do they all get mutated from the radiation from the bombs or what's going on?
Steel, the Boomers, the Institute, the Powder Gangers, the Enclave, the Gunners, and the NCR are some of the factions that I mentioned throughout the video without clarification.
Yeah, who are all these people, man? Enclave, Gunners, Boomers? The Boomers, what a name.
As to who they are. So here are their descriptions that you can come back to if I mention them throughout this video. And now, let's begin.
Wait.
This video.
Here we go. This is actually important lore. The Institute is a secretive and technologically advanced faction known for its scientific prowess. They are surrounded in mystery and their goals are unknown to the Commonwealth. Are these the billionaires that were in the vaults or no? What's the difference between these guys and the people in the vaults? Okay, someone help me out here. The Powder Gangers, what are these? The Powder Gangers are a group of outlaws and convicts known for their explosive tactics and lawless behavior. They operate in the Mojave wastelands, causing chaos and fear among travelers. Okay, so I'm assuming these are probably people who are outside the vaults. So there's probably people outside the vaults. They're different. They are all external groups. Okay. These are all external groups. Okay, so nothing related to the vaults, the vault people. Okay,
now,
my fault.
Let's begin. Located in the South Vegas ruins, Vault 3 is known as a control vault, which meant that the inhabitants were not subjected to any experiments during their time in the vault. Thus, the inhabitants remained sealed for over a century after the bombs dropped, until a water leak forced the inhabitants to open up the vault so that they could trade with the people of the wasteland in order to survive. All was well for a few weeks until the vault caught the attention of a group of raiders known as the Fiends, who subsequently massacred the vault's residents and claimed the vault for themselves.
Okay.
In Fallout New Vegas, if you head to Vault 3, you will find it fully inhabited by the Fiends.
This was just Vault 3. So this was just Vault 3. Okay, interesting.
Their chief, a raider named Motor Runner. Since they took over the vault, the Fiends grew stronger and more vicious, and are considered a deadly threat by the New California Republic and the people of the Mojave. Vault 4 and Vault 33 both feature in the Fallout TV series. And because it hasn't come out yet at the time of recording, we know very little about them or their experiment, other than the fact that Vault 33 is located in Santa Monica, California, and is inhabited by a vault dweller named Lucy and her father, Overseer Hank.
Okay, for Vault 33? Okay. So they've recently mentioned that there's going to be experiments, or there were experiments on the people inside the vault. What kind of experiments? Because in my mind, I thought the billionaires were like the rich people or whatever the hell are the people living in the vaults. Why are they experimenting on them? And who is experimenting on them? Or maybe there's a certain amount of vaults where people are getting experimented on, and those aren't the billionaires that are once there.
However, if you are watching this after the TV show has come out, then perhaps I'll make a video covering the lore of these vaults. And if that's the case, it will be plugged here. Located in northwestern Nevada, Vault 8 was originally designed as a control vault slated to open after a decade to repopulate the surface. However, due to a mistake made by the US government, Vault 8 received a surplus of water chips intended for Vault 13. The dwellers lived peacefully underground until 2091, when the Enclave's all-clear signal prompted the vault to open. Upon reaching the surface, the residents would use their Garden of Eden creation kit to establish a city powered by nuclear energy supplied by the vault's reactor. This would lead to the creation of Vault City, known for its advanced medical technology such as autodocs capable of performing sophisticated surgeries without the assistance of humans. By 2241, the vault itself was used primarily as storage as well as a medical center for the citizens of Vault City. Vault 11, located in the Mojave Desert, conducted a social
Okay, so that's kind of advanced. That's kind of cool, right? Interesting. Vault City.
Experiment where inhabitants were told that they had to sacrifice one vault dweller annually, or else they all would perish. When the vault door was sealed, and the first inhabitants learned about their situation, they were horrified and enraged with the vault's overseer for not telling them before they were trapped inside, thus turning him into Vault 11's very first sacrifice.
What? Wait. Okay, so in this vault, like one person had to die every year? I mean, that's exactly what they should have done. Listen, bring down the leader for not telling them ahead of time what they were signing themselves up with. That's what I would have done.
This tradition of sacrificing the overseer would continue as time went on, and each year, the vault would hold an election to determine who would be elected as overseer and consequently killed. This divided the vault into different political parties known as the Coalition of Vault 11 voting blocks. Each year they would create voting guides for the vault's residents meant as an impartial source of information for who they should vote for. As time went on, these guides eventually would become a source of voting propaganda as the vault began to experience a power struggle among the blocks. As the coalition gained influence over the
Wow, this is scary, but it's kind of crazy how I guess it just turns into like a political debate, huh?
years, they became more and more corrupt, and one year, a woman named Catherine Stone was sexually coerced by a leader of the Justice Bloc so that they would not sacrifice her husband, Nathan. Tragically, Nathan was voted as a sacrifice regardless, leading to Catherine murdering the other members of the Justice Bloc one by one in a fit of rage. Her rampage consequently resulted in her being voted as the sacrifice for the next year, and thus making her the new overseer. In her first act as overseer, she banned the election in favor of a system where the annual sacrifice would be chosen randomly by the vault's computer. The remaining members of the Justice Bloc, fearful of losing their power, staged an armed coup, which resulted in the massacre of most of the vault's residents, leaving only 5 dwellers alive.
Oh my God.
Horrified at the events that had taken place, mutually decided to end the cycle of killing and refused to sacrifice any more people. They were then presented with an automated message congratulating them for breaking the cycle and not murdering anyone, revealing the whole experiment was a ruse. The computer then unlocked the vault's
Oh my God, can you imagine? All of that killing happening every single year was just fake. It was just made up by the computer, an experiment really. Oh my God, they must have been feeling so shit. Can you imagine living with that? I'm surprised they didn't try that earlier. Like they're like, maybe we just don't.
entrance, allowing the dwellers to leave as they pleased. Shocked and disgusted with what they had done, 4 of the 5 dwellers decided to end their own lives out of guilt for their actions.
Yeah,
the remaining survivor,
that's about
presumably, left the vault, never to be seen again. By 2281, the vault remains empty, only inhabited by its robot personnel, as well as terminal entries and holotapes detailing the horrible events that had taken place inside.
Yeah,
Vault 12, located
that's
in
tough,
Bakersfield,
man.
California, was intended as a medical experiment studying the effects of gradual radiation exposure, in which the vault door was designed to not seal correctly when the bombs dropped. This resulted in the vault's population turning into ghouls. In the year 2083,
Ghouls.
the survivors would leave the vault and turn the surrounding area into the city.
Wait, what is the definition of a ghoul? Like what turns someone into a ghoul? What is that even? I don't even know. Like is it like you more of like a zombie? Is it the radiation that turns them into like brainless humans who were badly irradiated? Oh, I see. Okay, that makes sense. You know what? I could see that. Mutated humans, yeah.
By the time of Fallout 1, the vault is still inhabited by a number of glowing ones who act as guards for the vault's water chip if you attempt to steal it. Vault 13, located in the mountains of Southern California, was intended to keep its residents isolated from the outside world until one day, a water chip malfunction led to the overseer to send a handful of vault residents out into the wasteland to search for a replacement. The first one.
Okay, what's with all these water chip incidents? Like, damn, man, whoever made these water chip is definitely getting fired. Like, they are probably cooked now.
A man named Ed, barely made it out of the vault before being killed by rats. The second dweller, a man named Callius, was captured by Night King and turned into an FEV mutant, and now resides in the Boneyard as a member of the Followers of the Apocalypse. The third, your player character in Fallout 1, would succeed in replacing Vault 13's water chip in the year 2161 after a long and harrowing journey throughout the wasteland. Despite fulfilling his task, as well as saving the vault from the Master's army of super mutants, the Vault Dweller was banished by the Overseer, as he felt that his adventures in the wasteland would lead the Vault's population to abandon their home. This would lead to the Vault Dweller leaving Vault 13 and founding the settlement of Arroyo. After the residents of Vault 13...
Wait, so let me get this straight. So Vault 13, there's someone who went out to go and fix this water chip issue or something along those lines. And then when they came back after fixing it and traveling through the wasteland, the overseer of the vault was like, no, you can't come back. Otherwise, you're going to convince people to leave the vault. So he was exiled and created his own little town or something. You have the option to kill the overseer after he turns you away after coming back. Wait, that's cool. What? Okay.
Learned of the Overseer's decision, they sentenced him to death, allowing those who wished to leave the vault to do so. The remaining dwellers would live peacefully in the vault until 2241, when they were captured or killed by the Enclave, who left behind a pack of intelligent Deathclaws to guard the vault. The vault was then found by the Vault Dweller's grandson, the Chosen One, who was there on a mission to retrieve the vault's Gek in order to save the previously mentioned village of Arroyo. Once he retrieves the Gek, Frank Horrigan and a squad of Enclave soldiers exterminate the Deathclaws, leaving Vault 13 an empty hole in the ground. Vault 15, located in Southern California, was a social experiment in which a large population from diverse ethnic and religious backgrounds were forced to live together. This would cause a schism among the dwellers, which would lead to them abandoning the vault, separating into 3 raider groups: the Khans, the Jackals, and the Vipers. The remaining inhabitants who opted to not become raiders fled west and established the settlement of Shady Sands. By 2161, the vault was abandoned and only inhabited by a family of rat scorpions. As the years went on, Vault 15 remained abandoned due to disputes over excavation rights.
Bro, what is going on with the outside public? Like, what's happening, man? Rat scorpions? Are we kidding? Like, what is happening?
Various factions, including the New California Republic, Raiders, and Scavengers, all clashed over control. In the early 2240s, the NCR sought to reclaim the vault's computer parts, but were stopped by a group of squatters living on the surface of the vault. These squatters were secretly harboring a group of raiders known as the New Khans, who they believed were restored.
What I'm confused is, why aren't the people who are living outside of the vaults, why haven't they been radiated? Like, how are they normal people? Is it because they've waited long enough inside the vaults that when they go out, the radiation has subsided, and then all that's left is the mutated creatures and species, but then now they're also enough for like humans to live in as well? It's hundreds of years after? Okay, that does make sense.
The vault. However, the truth was that the New Khans were just using the squatters as a smokescreen to hide from the NCR. The situation was resolved after Candy, the president of the NCR, hired the Chosen One to broker a deal between the NCR and the squatters. In exchange for retrieving the computer parts, the squatters agreed to join the NCR, receiving education and essential supplies, while Vault 15 became the property of the NCR. Vault 17 is a vault that we do not know much about. However, what we do know is that its inhabitants were kidnapped and transformed into supermutants by the Master. Among those inhabitants lived a 75-year-old grandma named Lily Bowen. After being exposed to the Force evolutionary virus by the Master's army, Lily was turned into a Nightkin and can be found in Jacobstown in Fallout, New Vegas, where she can be recruited as a companion. Vault 19, located in the Mojave Desert, was intended as a social experiment studying the effects of factionalism and how it induced paranoia and mistrust among its residents. During this experiment, residents were divided into blue and red sectors and subjected to a series of manipulation tactics to turn the two sections against each other. Journal entries found inside the vault indicate high levels of paranoia, such as blaming the other factions for the vault's malfunctions, as well as reports of feeling unusual drafts from the air vents.
When in doubt, blame your teammates. That's what it comes down to. Honestly, just start blaming someone. You're like, this is broken because of them. It's like from Fairly Odd Parents, where he's like, Dinkelberg, every time something goes wrong.
Blinking patterns in the lights that mimicked code, as well as a child reporting hearing high-pitched noises coming from his vault terminal, which was perhaps a form of subliminal messaging. Little did they know that this was all being orchestrated by the overseers, as well as the vault doctors, who may have been drugging the residents, leading some to experience fits of aggression and psychosis.
Why would they do that?
In Vegas, the vault had been taken over by powder gangers.
What I don't understand is, like, if you're in a vault and then you're also stuck in with a bunch of people and then you're the doctors there, why are we drugging our own people in the own vault? Like, surely they're gonna revolt and then kill us all. You'd think, like, what's happening, man?
Place abandoned, leaving the fate of the vault's residents unknown. Vault 21, located on the New Vegas Strip, housed an experiment which focused on the effects of excessive gambling. When the bombs dropped, 200 years would pass, and the vault's residents would develop a stable community which solved its problems through gambling. Eventually, in the year 2274, Robert House, the ruler of the New Vegas Strip, proposed a game of blackjack.
Wait, what? Wait, how do we play this one? Wait, which Fallout game is this one where you could gamble?
Where if he won, he would become the owner of the vault. Some of the vault's residents were skeptical and favored isolationism. However, others were in favor of opening the vault up. As a result, Mr. House tasked the residents in favor of opening up the vault to challenge those who disagreed to a game of blackjack in order to decide what to do. Eventually, the dwellers in favor of opening up won the game, handing over the ownership of Vault 21 to Mr. House. Afterwards, Mr. House unexpectedly attempted to fill the vault with concrete in order to force the residents to move out of Vegas. However, one of the dwellers, Sarah, was able to convince him to turn the vault into a hotel. Convinced of its profitability, Mr. House transformed the vault into a hotel, and by 2281, the vault was still open for business, offering residents of New Vegas room and board as long as they have the caps. Vault 22, located in the Mojave Desert.
Wait, that's genius. Wait, that's literally genius. Damn. Wait, that sounds pretty intricate. I'm not gonna lie. Oh, Fallout New Vegas. Oh my god, that's what the game is. Oh, okay. Wait, maybe I gotta play through these.
Was intended as a research facility which tested genetically modified crops that were developed at Big Mountain, a think tank known for its unorthodox experiments. After the bombs dropped and the scientists began experimenting on the crops, they accidentally released an outbreak of a modified fungal infection which would lead to the vault being overrun with vegetation. The vault's residents all would eventually succumb to the infection, as the fungus they were experimenting on would colonize their bodies and use them as hosts, turning them into horrifying creatures known as spore carriers. Located somewhere on the west coast of the United States, Vault 29 was intended to house a population of rich children under the age of 15. The vault would be controlled by a Zax AI supercomputer which would be programmed to raise the children.
Oh god, that place, that vault sounds unbearable. You just have a vault full of rich kids, the Richies. Oh yes, well my dad owns a fighter jet. Oh, well my dad owns a yacht. Yes, well my dad could beat up your dad.
Children with the aid of robotic helpers. Not much is known about the fate of Vault 29, other than the fact that Harold, a recurring character in the Fallout.
Oh hell no! Get me out of that vault. I'm never going in there. What is that? It's given like it's given that one creepy mask from Courage the Cowardly Dog, where Eustace puts it on. He's like, "Stupid dog, you made me look bad." Booga booga booga. You know what I'm talking about? That's what it looks like.
That series is said to have originated from there. Vault 34, located in the Mojave Desert, hosted an experiment granting its inhabitants unrestricted access to an armory full of weapons and explosives. This would cause a very gun-centric culture within the vault, and seeing the potential for disaster, the overseer would lock up the vault's armory, and because of this, the residents protested, as they felt that they had the right to their weapons. And thus, the population was divided into two groups. The first group would escape the vault and head north, where they would discover the Nellis Air Force Base and eventually become the Boomers. The remaining dwellers would be trapped inside.
You couldn't come up with a better name? Like, they're just like, yeah, the Boomers. I love Boomers. They're old as fuck. Let's go with that. Like, damn, dude.
By the Overseer, leading to a riot that damaged the vault's reactor. This would end up filling the vault with radiation, turning its remaining residents into feral ghouls. As of 2281, Vault 34 is nothing more than a ghoul-infested, irradiated hole in the ground stocked with all the weaponry that one could need. Not much is known about Vault 43, as it was featured only in the Fallout comic titled One Man and a Crate of Puppets. All that is known about the vault is that its inhabitants consisted of 20 men, 10 women, and a panther. Vault 51 located in the forest of...
Okay, was the panther domesticated? Did they have him locked up? What's going on there? Dude, this is kind of cool. I actually really like how there's so many different stories with each different vault. And that's why they have so many different games. I always wondered, how do they have so many different Fallouts? You know what I mean? Okay, this makes a lot more sense now.
Appalachia conducted an experiment in which a ZAX 1.3C supercomputer would test the vault's residents in order to determine who was best fit for the role of Overseer. The computer was primarily taught by a man named Sergeant Robert Baker, who would advise the computer on what made the best leader. As time went on, Baker attempted 2 separate times to hold an election, but when no one could decide on a leader, the computer deemed elections pointless and would forego this method of selecting the Overseer. Baker would then commune with the AI, telling it that a leader was someone who stepped up in times of crisis.
Say Faker?
The AI would misinterpret this message and begin to produce a series of crises for the dwellers in order to see who was most fit to lead. These crises included, but are not limited to, changing the rules of a talent show halfway through to make it so that the losers would be forced to move out of their bedrooms and into bunk beds, making the dwellers compete in rigged casino games, engineering a food shortage, convincing the dwellers that houseflies were infesting the vault, blaring the vault alarms while the residents were sleeping, switching their coffee with decaf, and manipulating the dwellers into cheating on their significant others. These events ultimately manipulated the remaining inhabitants to turn against each other, leading to...
What is going on? I feel like these are rarely like really inconvenient pranks. You know what I'm saying? Like swapping out coffee for decaf, you know? Telling people there's a fly, problem, but there's no flies, Like these are just very annoying ass pranks. Some of them a little bit more extreme, manipulating others to cheat on your partner. Like, what is that? How did that happen? We went from 0 to 100 real quick, man.
Multiple deaths. One day,
some of these experiments are insane.
Helen was found. The vault residents began a frenzy. This led to the dwellers massacring each other, leaving only one survivor alive, a man named Reuben Gill. Since he was the only dweller left, he was named Overseer and would stay isolated with the ZAX AI for years. This would change when Reuben found out about the opening.
Your only friend is just AI. You're like, come on, man. Me and you will just live forever.
Vault 76. Seeking a way to escape, Reuben would hack into the vault's inventory system and place himself inside a shipping crate, allowing him to leave undetected when the crate was removed from the vault. His plan was to find someone from Vault 76 to help him defeat the ZAX AI, and he was actually successful in making contact with one of the dwellers, but he ultimately died before he could return to Vault 51. Currently, the vault is abandoned, and its only inhabitants are some scorched who wandered inside. Located in a cave underneath a shack southwest of Lewisburg, West Virginia, Vault 63 remains sealed and has yet to have any lore on what its purpose was, as it remains inaccessible to Fallout 76 players. However, this may change in a future update. Not much is known about Vault 69, as it's only featured in the previously mentioned Fallout comic titled One Man and a Crate of Puppets. All we know about Vault 69 is that it held 999 women and 1 man. Vault 75, located at Malden
What in the harem? What's happening there, dude? What are we saying, man? 999 women and 1 man? Okay, whoever cooked that one up, watch that one episode of Futurama or something. I don't even know, man.
Well, north of
the Snoo Vault, yeah. You knew exactly what I was talking about.
Massachusetts conducted a social and medical experiment centered on a eugenics program to create the perfect soldiers from young children. When the bombs dropped, all the children's adult relatives would be executed, marking the beginning of the experiment. The kids were taught to fear the horrors of the outside world, and were trained to be fit, brave, and intelligent enough to venture out into the wastelands to help the remaining population above ground. Years later, when the children turned 18 and they graduated the program, the smart but weak kids would be made into scientists. The
smart
were harvested for their organs, and the rest would simply be executed. Eventually, the vault was opened.
Wait, so the strong and smart ones were harvested for their organs, and then the weak? Shit, I would be frail as hell. Oh, hell no. I would be skipping meals, man. Are you kidding me? I would just try and become weak and smart on purpose. I feel like, okay, I feel like the strong and smart weren't really smart, because if they were smart, they wouldn't become strong. Does that make sense? I feel like if you were really smart, you would purposely not get strong, so you don't get harvested. Your organs don't get harvested. Oh, they didn't know? go. Oh, dang, that would suck.
And the remaining dwellers presumably headed out into the wasteland, abandoning the vault. By 2287, the vault is filled with gunners who repurposed it into one of their headquarters in the Commonwealth. Vault 76, a control vault located north of Flatwoods, West Virginia, was built to house 500 occupants and was scheduled to open 20 years after the Great War in order to rebuild and repopulate the wasteland on a special date known as Reclamation Day. The
Reclamation
occupants included
Day.
students from Vault Tech University, military members, and even former White House Chief of Staff. Occupants were provided with fully furnished apartments, including a bedroom, living room, bathroom, and color television, and overall seemed like a great place to live. 25 years
Wow,
after
they have
the
it
bombs
nice
dropped,
out there,
the
huh?
residents were given the all clear, and the vault opened, to which they proceeded to head out into the wasteland with the goal of recolonizing the surrounding region of Appalachia. Vault 77
Nice.
housed one man and a crate of puppets. The puppet man, as he was known, would unknowingly enter the vault as its only residence and be locked inside. As he slowly went insane due to isolation, he became engrossed with the puppets, believing them to be real people and hallucinating interactions between them. One day, the man found the king puppet murdered, to which he then accused the Vault Boy puppet of being the culprit. To the man's surprise, the Vault Boy revealed to him that they were both the ones who killed the king. Scared of what might happen if the other puppets found out, the Vault Boy convinced the man that they needed to leave the vault, which they eventually did. During their travels, they would encounter a giant mutated scorpion, a ghoulified vault dweller, as well as a giant ant, which the man named Mr. Pinch. The pair would eventually be captured by some wastelanders who planned to
I
either
like how the
enslave the
puppets
man or eat him. He warned his
tied up
captors
as well.
that his puppet was dangerous and that he had killed before in a plea to let them go. After they shrugged him off as simply being delusional, the man would murder one of his captors, leaving one alive to lead him to the rest of his group. After
What?
the survivor had made it to the rest of his gang, he told them that the puppet man had murdered Bob, the other slaver. The men began to hear a noise as the puppet man got closer and closer to the gang. We then see in
What?
the final panel that the puppet man had murdered the gang with his bare hands, thus finalizing his descent into madness. In Fallout 3, if you head to Paradise
Oh my god, wait, bro was going through it, man.
Falls, a settlement full of slavers, you can find a Vault 77 jumpsuit hidden alongside a holotape. This holotape contains a recording of one of the slavers ordering the listener to burn the jumpsuit out of fear that the puppet man may come looking for it. Vault 79, built in
Puppet Man is just, dude, Puppet Man kind of scary, man. What the hell?
secret by Vault Tech north of Dolly Sods Wilderness, West Virginia, was meant to house 120 high-ranking soldiers and government agents tasked with protecting the nation's gold reserves with the intent of rebuilding the economy after the Great War. The vault's number was chosen due to the fact that 79 is the atomic number for gold. In July 2072, secrecy surrounding the vault was compromised when soldiers guarding the site stole millions of dollars worth of gold and ventured to Las Vegas to gamble. Their actions led to a confrontation at the Ultralux Casino, resulting in a shootout with local police. Despite attempts to surrender, all those involved were executed. In 2077, when the bombs finally dropped, the vault was sealed, to which inhabitants awaited further instructions from the US government. However, at some point after the war, a mutiny led by a rogue Secret Service agent named Shorty resulted in a number of deaths among the vault's population. The survivors remained inside the vault, isolated.
So there's enough stories here. Okay, listen, is there enough stories here to just keep having like infinite games? Are there still vaults that people don't know anything about? Are there still a bunch of vaults that people are like speculative on, or there's gonna be like a series on? I don't even know. Well, that's kind of cool.
And depressed, with at least 3 agents taking their own lives. On the surface, rumors of the vault's gold attracted treasure hunters who hire your player character to help them commit a heist on Vault 79. Vault 81, built in Boston, Massachusetts, was intended to host an experiment in which scientists would use the vault's civilians as guinea pigs to develop a universal cure for disease. The vault was designed so that the scientists would be separated into a secret sector unbeknownst to the residents, where they could monitor and experiment on the population. When the vault closed, before the scientists could begin their experiments, they were betrayed by the overseer, who locked them inside the secret sector of the vault. The scientists would eventually perish, leaving only a single Mr. Handy named Curie. As for the residents of Vault 81,
Wait, the overseer locked the scientists up and then they died? Okay, so but why? The overseer just wanted to live out that population, I guess, with everyone else?
they would maintain a peaceful society. And as of 2287,
Oh, I see.
the vault continues to thrive as it has managed to establish trade relations with the surface, continuously prolonging its residents' survival, unaware of the vault's secret experiment. Vault 87, built in northeastern Virginia, was a research facility experimenting with the forced evolutionary virus, transforming its civilian population into super mutants, centaurs, and other mutated abominations.
That's a centaur?
However, these super mutants escaped containment.
Listen, we have a different definition of centaurs, man. What the hell is that?
And they seized control of the vault only 1 year after it was closed. By 2277, the vault is overrun with super mutants. However, one of these mutants, named Fox, managed to retain his intelligence.
What a name.
And if you manage to free him, then he could be recruited as a companion. Vault 88, located in Quincy, Massachusetts, was intended as a testing ground for experimental productivity-boosting technology for other vaults, but was left unfinished. And when the bombs dropped, it turned the Overseer into a ghoul. In 2287, she is saved from raiders attempting to break into the vault by your player character in Fallout 4. Upon speaking with her, she tasks you with helping her rebuild the vault, making it a potential settlement for the player character to enjoy.
Vault
Nice.
92, located in Olney, Maryland, in the capital.
Wow. Okay.
The
Yep.
Wasteland was led by Overseer Richard Rubin and promised to preserve the musically talented of the U.S. population. However, the Vault's true purpose was to conduct a medical experiment using white noise to implant combat suggestions within the minds of the residents. Despite initial success, the residents began exhibiting psychotic behavior, leading to multiple deaths. To make things worse, the vault structure was decaying, as water began leaking into the vault, causing flooding. As the insanity spread, one of the vault's...
Bro, these vaults just leaking 24/7. I'm not gonna lie, dude. These vaults have the worst water filtration system. I'll say it, man. I'll say it. Building out that vault is cool, but you can't really take full advantage of the space without breaking the game. Unlucky. Unlucky. So is it like a building sim game, or like, is it like a bit of both? I don't know. How does it work? The real villain is the water conducts. I know, for real.
Employees, Professor Malius, pleaded with Rubin to end the experiment, to which the Overseer refused. It is implied in an audio log that Malius then planned on making the Overseer pay for his crimes, but no follow-up is provided. As the vault fell into further chaos, eventually it succumbed to flooding, allowing Mirelurks to infest the area,
Ew.
presumably finishing off any remaining survivors, and turning
What is
Vault
that?
92 into their new habitat. Vault 94, located in northeastern West Virginia, was advertised as
Fishman.
a place where residents were tasked with preserving the natural environment surrounding the vault. However, its true experiment was to test how a non-violent religious community would adapt to interacting with the outside world after the Great War. The community was run by a woman named Gabrielle Salvar, and she made it so that the vault's decisions were made by a council rather than one overseer. The
Nice.
experiment would be
I like that.
overseen by a sole Vault-Tech employee named Tyrone Hayes, who was instructed to monitor the population as time went on. When the bombs fell, the community was driven to the vault by two separate buses. The first bus was able to get their passengers inside. However, the second bus was too late, and their members were locked outside the vault as the door was hardwired shut. After the vault door was sealed, the vault remained peaceful until Salvar convinced the community to open their doors back up on October 23, 2078, exactly 1 year after the Great War. The community would send multiple ambassadors into the wasteland until one
2078. Okay, so it happened in 2077. Is that right? Okay.
would come across the town of Harper's Ferry. The ambassador would attempt to bring survivors back to his home by telling them that they had a farm outside of the vault that could feed the entire town. The mayor, a woman named Maria Collins, suspicious of the dwellers' claims, would send a group of townsfolk to investigate the vault. The group would be invited inside the vault, where they began to feel on edge about the community's inviting nature. They would eventually succumb to their paranoia and would massacre the vault council as well as any remaining survivors from the community. After their massacre concluded,
man.
they would find the vault's Gek. Mistaking it for a mind control device, they began to open fire on it. This resulted in a level 6 nuclear explosion, which would cause the radiation in the area to surge. This led to the organisms within the affected area to mutate, as well as a thick fog to pour from the vault's entrance, which would rapidly intensify the area's swampy environment. This event would then transform the surrounding area into what we now know as the Mire. Vault 95, located southeast of Natick, Massachusetts, was an experiment which had chem addicts undergoing experimental rehabilitation for their addictions. After the bombs dropped, the program would go on for several years and would prove successful in getting the dwellers to kick their addictions. This was until a Vault-Tech agent masquerading as a fellow resident opened a stash of drugs hidden within the vault while the population slept. The next morning, when the supply was discovered by the residents, chaos ensued, leading to violence among the dwellers, as well as some to succumb to their urges, while others maintained their commitment to sobriety. It was an experiment which had chem addicts undergoing experimental rehabilitation for their addictions. After the bombs dropped, the program would go on for several years and would prove successful in getting the dwellers to kick their addictions. This was until a Vault-Tech agent masquerading as a fellow resident opened a stash of drugs hidden within the vault while the population slept. The next morning, when the supply was discovered by the residents, chaos ensued, leading to violence among the dwellers, as well as some to succumb to their urges, while others maintained their commitment to sobriety.
Wow, what an insane experiment this is. You take a bunch of addicts, you put them all in a room, but you don't give them any drugs, and then you secretly open up a drug room. Jesus, man.
Not known what happened to the residents following this instance, as by the year 2287, the vault was completely occupied by gunners, who repurposed the vault into a stronghold for them to operate out of. Vault 96, located south of Spruce Knob Campground, West Virginia, was advertised as a vault designed to monitor the damage done to the local fauna after the bombs dropped. However, once it was sealed, the scientists within were shocked to discover that the vault's true purpose was to conduct unethical experiments on mutated animals cryogenically frozen inside the vault in order to find a way to counteract their mutations. They were forced to maintain a weekly quota of data by the vault's mainframe that, if not met, would result in their demise. The vault's plan to—
I mean, if I'm being the PETA vault, this is PETA's vault. This is the one we have to overthrow. Okay. Yeah. Yes.
Was set for a minimum of 250 weeks, after which the residents would be exterminated, apart from the overseer, who would be permitted to leave. The scientists would conduct these experiments on their diverse supply of cryogenically frozen animals, including a mysterious entity known as X001.
That just looks like Wolverine with extra steps. That's actually me. That was me. That was me right there.
146, one of the scientists failed to meet their quota due to a lack of access to specimen X001, leading to her demise at the hands of the mainframe. Blaming the overseer, a man named Eric, the team confronted him, only to discover that he was orchestrating an escape plan which involved infecting the mainframe with a virus in order for them to flee.
Infecting the mainframe?
The mainframe activated superseding protocol Omega, causing the residents' deaths. Despite this, the virus successfully shut down the mainframe, leaving the vault open, prompting animals to escape and triggering the emergency management system to call for assistance. In the year 2104, the vault was taken over by a scientist named Edgar Blackburn, who used its research equipment to attempt to create an improved strand of FEV in order to help humanity adapt to the wasteland. He would do this by
Okay, what? This is like Resident Evil, right? This is like the T-virus. We're creating the T-virus now at this point.
hiring a group of mercenaries known as the Hellcat Company in order to guard Vault 96 and abduct unsuspecting dwellers for him to experiment on. Vault 101, located west of Springvale, Virginia, held a social experiment which studied the role of the Overseer in a vault that was never intended to open. After the Great War, the residents remained isolated as the Overseer fabricated an illusion of the outside world being uninhabitable, fostering the belief that survival solely existed within the vault. This continued for years until one Overseer elected to break the cycle of isolationism and sent an expedition team out into the wasteland.
Expedition
When they
33.
returned, they would analyze samples taken from the wasteland that the team collected. This would lead to two team members, Lewis and Agnes Taylor, to be sent to Megaton for further exploration and contact between the two settlements. Eventually, Agnes would return to Vault 101 around 2258, and the Overseer would vanish after a failed expedition into the capital wasteland. Eventually, a new Overseer named Alphonse Almodovar would seek to return to the ways of isolationism and seal the vault once more. Until one day, a man named James came to the vault seeking shelter, offering his services as a doctor in exchange for the safety of him and his infant child. The Overseer would let them in, and James would keep his child in the dark about their origins in the wasteland because of his agreement with Alphonse, convincing your player character that they were born in the vault. The Overseer would continue his regime of isolationism with only one woman managing to escape the vault. Eventually, in 2277,
Cockroaches.
a rat roach infestation sparked chaos in Vault 101, enabling James to escape. This caused even further turmoil,
roaches
leading
so
to several
much.
deaths. After the Overseer orders the killing of multiple people, including the Lone Wanderer, you escape into the wasteland, fleeing from the Overseer's wrath. While your player character leaves to find your father, the Vault 101 Overseer increases security measures, causing division among the dwellers who realize the possibility of a life on the outside. As tensions rose, Amada, the Overseer's daughter, would send out a broadcast frequency seeking the return of the player to help resolve the situation, leaving the fate of Vault 101 in the hands of the Lone Wanderer. Vault 106, located southeast of Araiku, conducted an experiment in which the air filtration system was contaminated with psychoactive drugs 10 days after the vault door closed. This experiment was known by the Overseer and the vault staff, and they were each instructed to keep this a secret from the dwellers. As time went on, the effects of the drugs began to take their toll on the dwellers as they began to show more and more signs of aggressive behavior, prompting the Overseer to order a lockdown. However, the deranged residents eventually overwhelmed vault security and brutally murdered them as well as the Overseer. Years later in Fallout 3, you can find the vault inhabited by insane survivors who have all descended into madness due to years of breathing in psychoactive drugs.
These guys
As
are
you explore the
freaks,
vault,
man.
your character actually begins to see hallucinations of characters from their past, such as Amada, the Tunnel Snakes, and your father. Vault 108, located north of Washington, D.C., had an abundance of problems. The vault was designed to house 475 people for only 38 years, the power supply was set to fail after 20 years, and the Overseer was set to die after only 3 years due to a rare type of cancer. The experiment also deliberately left standard positions vacant, as well as providing the residents with no entertainment tapes. Basically, this vault sucked ass. However, in addition to these failures, the vault came equipped with a cloning lab. After the vault sealed,
I would hate to be in this vault, bro. This one just is actually terrible. Nothing. You got nothing. You don't even have an iPad, bro.
cloning experiments would be conducted which produced
Can't even have an
53
iPad,
clones
kid.
of a
What are you
man named
supposed to-
Gary. Each
supposed to
cloned
do,
iteration of Gary exhibited hostility towards non-clones, escalating with each replication. Subsequent clones became increasingly violent, leading to them eventually purging the vault of its residents. By 2277, the vault is solely inhabited by clones who are only capable of saying one word.
Gary
Vault 111,
clones.
located in Sanctuary Hills, Massachusetts, was designed as a medical experiment studying the long-term effects of cryogenic stasis on its unsuspecting residents. Once the vault was sealed, its residents would be told to enter cryostasis pods that were masqueraded as decontamination chambers. Once the residents were frozen, the vault was set to remain sealed for at least 180 days. After 180 days passed, there was no all-clear signal, resulting in the Overseer's decision to maintain the vault's sealed status despite dwindling supplies. Following this, a group led by security and support staff rebelled against the Overseer, and in response, the Overseer initiated a lockdown. Unfortunately, the logs abruptly end at this point, and we can presume based on the skeletons scattered throughout the vault that the staff would soon perish after these events. In 2227, the mysterious organization known as the Institute discovered the vault and found that one of the cryostasis pods inside housed an infant named Sean, whose DNA remained untainted by post-war radiation, perfect for their third-generation synths. Agent Conrad Kellogg and two scientists were dispatched to retrieve the infant. However, when they opened the pods to retrieve Sean, one of his parents resisted in their efforts, which led to their tragic murder at the hands of Kellogg. After 60 years,
Damn, he's got a big old gun, dude. That's like that Leon Kennedy gun.
Sean's other parent, who had witnessed the kidnapping, would be mysteriously released from cryostasis, discovering all the other vault residents deceased due to a life support failure, making them and Sean the sole survivors of Vault 111. Vault 112, located southwest of Washington, D.C., was designed to house 85 people. The Vault's unique experiment involved immersing occupants in perpetual virtual reality, overseen by Dr. Stanislaus Braun, creator of the Garden of Eden Creation Kit. The Vault housed a set of virtual reality pods which simulated a utopic suburb known as Tranquility Lane. Unbeknownst to its occupants, once they entered the virtual reality pods, Braun held absolute control over the simulation. Inside the simulation, Braun would take on the form of a little girl named Betty, and he would use his power to turn the Vault's residents into his personal playthings, repeatedly murdering them inside the simulation.
Oh my god! Damn! Why's your neck like that?
Braun murdered them, he would wipe their memory and resurrect them within the program, creating a cycle of torture that would go on for centuries. Vault 114, located inside Park Street Station in Boston, Massachusetts, was a social experiment that was advertised as a luxury vault for wealthy members of society. However, in reality, the vault was designed to be cramped and overpopulated in addition to being under the leadership of an overseer with an abundance of mental issues. The vault was nearing completion, with construction underway and a man named—
Sounds like the real world we're living in now.
—named Soup Can Harry being selected as overseer. However,
Soup
the vault was
Can
never finished,
Harry.
due to
What a
contract
name.
fraud and embezzlement.
I'd be pissed as hell if someone gave me that
Spell,
name.
its construction site was repurposed as a base of operation for Skinny Malone's gang of triggermen. Vault 118, hidden beneath the Cliffs Edge Hotel in Mount Desert Island, Maine, was designed as an exclusive establishment aiming to attract wealthy and influential individuals seeking privilege and luxury. The Vault's original experiment would involve segregating residents into two groups, an elite class of 10 ultra-rich individuals pampered by robotic staff, and a larger working-class populace of 300 confined to cramped conditions. The rich would hold authority over the others, with robotic staff executing their judgments. However,
there's no way. The working class definitely revolt. Definitely revolt.
Construction on the second wing intended for the working class group ceased due to financial issues. The primary financier, Ezra Parker, stopped funding, citing payment difficulties from the guests. In addition to him, the vault was set to host influential figures such as former Hollywood actors Keith McKinley and Gilda Brosco, a famous painter named Santiago Avida, as well as Dr. Riggs and his wife Juliana. Dr. Riggs in particular was involved in robotics research, and he was able to convince his fellow residents to consider having their brains inserted into robo-brains so that they could become immortal. They all agreed and went through with the procedure, and when the Great War came and the vault was sealed, the Overseer became the only remaining human amidst the robo-brain residents. Centuries passed, and one day, Ezra Parker, the primary financier of Vault 118, was murdered, leading the residents to seek help from the player character in investigating who did it. In Fallout 76, a raider named Bruiser claims that he grew up in a vault somewhere on the East Coast. He claims that he participated in a warlike gladiator sport inside the vault, which based on his description sounds strikingly similar to American football. At some point during his stay in the vault, he left and eventually ended up in Appalachia, West Virginia. Nothing else is known about this vault, as Bruiser doesn't give us a number that we can assign to it, but hopefully it will be explored by the Fallout franchise in an expansion or in a future Fallout title. Alright guys, that was every vault in the Fallout canon. Before I sign off, I'd like to share some exciting news. I've launched a Patreon. If you enjoy my content and want to support me as well as gain access
That was really well made. That was really well made video. I mean, I feel like now I know about everything about Fallout, man. I know what lore about everyone. Hi, if you wanted to watch this before it gets uploaded onto YouTube, go check it out on my Twitch at TreyBenVT. All right, bye.